Well, pay went up in March and you saw it land, but it's August now, and if you open your banking app and scroll to the end of last month, there's less sitting there than there was a year ago. The raise arrived. It just never made it to the end of the month, and something took it on the way. And most people decide that something is them, that they're bad with money. 5 numbers say otherwise. Count how many are actually about you. Then 3 things nobody explains. When an average is lying to you, why a mortgage payment jumps more than the interest rate does, and a sum you can do in 10 seconds that tells you where you sit. Stay for that last one. It's the only number in this video that's yours. You might be thinking, I don't have a mortgage, so this isn't about me. Stay with me, it is. The thing that went up isn't really the mortgage, it's the bill you can't say no to. For some people that's a mortgage. For a lot of people it's rent. For everyone, it's the bills that arrive whether you had a good month or not. I'm using the mortgage number because it's the one somebody actually went and measured. 1,500 people asked in July. Number 1, the paycheck. Statistics Canada measures what the average Canadian earns in a week, $1,320. Over the past year, that average went up 2%. 2% of $1,320 is $26.41 a week. That sum is mine, not theirs. Statistics Canada never said a single person got a raise. $26. That's a couple of bags of groceries, and here's what every headline leaves out. That 2% isn't really a raise at all. Here's the first thing nobody explains, and once you see it, you'll spot it everywhere. 10 people stand in a room, 9 of them earn $50,000, 1 earns $500,000. Add it all up, divide by 10, and the average income in that room is $95,000. Look around the room, nobody earns that, not one person. Now line them up, smallest to biggest, and point at the one in the middle. $50,000. That person tells the truth about the room. So whenever you see the word average next to money, one question is worth asking. Is that the middle, or is that everyone piled together and divided? Statistics Canada is honest about this. They say it themselves, that 2% can move even when nobody's pay changed at all, add a lot of lower paying jobs to the country, and the average falls on its own. Nobody took a cut. The number just dropped, so the number went up. That doesn't mean yours did. Number 2, where you live. That 2% is the whole country squeezed into one number. Nobody lives in the whole country. In Alberta, the average barely moved, less than half of 1%. Here in Manitoba, 3.5%. On Prince Edward Island, 5%, 12 times Alberta's, same year, same country. One number said 2%, and it described none of them. Number 3, the bill that went up. Every year, the National Housing Agency asks 4,000 people about their mortgage. This year, the ones who renewed saw their payment jump $375 a month. That's $4,500 a year, and here's what it cost them. Almost 1 in 3 cut something else out of their life to cover it, or said they were about to. Second thing nobody explains. To see it, you need one small fact about how a mortgage payment works. Every payment you make splits in 2. One part pays down what you owe. That part is yours. It builds up and you get it back when you sell. The other part is interest. That part is gone the moment you pay it. It's just the fee for borrowing. Same payment, 2 very different halves. Hold on to that. It's the whole answer. So, a mortgage signed at 2% back in 2021. 5 years later, it renews at 4%. The rate has doubled. Does the payment double? No, it goes up about 1/5. That sounds almost survivable. Here's the part that isn't. Watch the 2 halves. The half that's yours doesn't hold steady, it shrinks. The half that's gone jumps by 2/3. That's why it feels worse than the number looks. You're not just paying more, you're keeping less of what you pay. So put it together, the average paycheck went up about $26 a week, just under $1,400 over a year if you got the average. The renewal took $4,500, the raise covers less than 1/3 of it, and that's before tax, before groceries moved, before anything else. There's no version of being careful that closes that gap. Here's where it gets strange. In March, one of the big banks published a report on all this. Their words, it was likely their last report on the subject because households were coming through it. The housing agency said much the same. Last year, more than half of people with a mortgage were worried about paying it. This year, fewer than 4 in 10. Both of those are true. You can check both. And here's the thing that made me stop when I found it. The Bank of Canada ran the numbers on the mortgages renewing this year. On average, the payment goes up about 6%. The middle one goes down slightly, but down. Remember the room? 9 ordinary earners and 1 giant. It's the exact same trick happening right here. The average is climbing because a few people are getting hit brutally hard. The person in the middle is roughly fine, which also means I owe you a caveat on that $4,500. It came from people who renewed in the last 18 months, mostly last year's wave when the jumps were biggest. Renew late this year and you might see almost nothing. So when the news says renewals up 6%, that's true, and it is not what's happening to most people both at once. Number 4, this is the one that doesn't fit. In late July, a polling company asked 1,500 Canadians about their mortgage. Nearly half the people who renewed now put more than half their monthly budget into housing. Not half of what's left over once the essentials are paid, half of the whole thing. So the banks say the hard part is done, and nearly half of the people who renewed are handing over half their budget just for somewhere to live. Both true. That's the part nobody explains. And that's number 5, yet the one I said was coming. The same survey split the answers by where people were born. Take 100 people born in Canada. 35 of them hand over somewhere between half and 70% of their budget just for housing. Now take 100 born outside Canada and the number is 56. Same country, same year, same mortgages. The survey doesn't say why, and I won't pretend I know for certain, but people who arrived recently bought recently, higher prices, less time to save, less time for the loan to shrink. So when the rate moved, it moved against a bigger debt. Third thing nobody explains, and this one's actually yours. When a lender decides whether to give you a mortgage, they run one sum. They weigh what a roof costs you each month against what you earn before tax. They want it under about 40%. That's the line. That's what you can afford this meant on the day they said yes. You can run the same sum and the fast version takes 10 seconds. Take what you pay for a roof each month, mortgage or rent. Set it against 1 month of your pay before anything comes off. And if you want it exact, add property tax if you own and heating. But do the rough one now. It's close enough to tell you where you stand. Under about 40% and you're inside the line lenders use, half or more, and you're where nearly half of the people who renewed now sit. And if you're past that line, notice what didn't happen. Nothing about you changed. You didn't get worse at this. You didn't start spending more. The interest rate changed. And the line you were judged against slid underneath you. So what actually helps? Honestly, not much. A gap this size doesn't close with a budgeting app. But one number is worth knowing. In February, 2 out of 3 homeowners said they felt uneasy about their renewal. 9 in 100 said they'd start the conversation with their lender early. 2/3 worried. Fewer than 1 in 10 even planning to make the call that costs nothing. I'm not telling you it fixes this. It doesn't. But it's the only part of the whole thing you have any say over. One more thing, because nobody says it, across the whole country, the share of people actually falling behind on their mortgage is about 1/4%. This is a squeeze. It is not a collapse. Don't let anyone sell you a panic. So count them up. The national number that wasn't yours, the province that didn't match the country, the bill that moved 4,500, half of everything for nearly half of them, and the gap nobody's reporting, not one of those is a decision you made. You didn't get worse at this. You were judged against an average that was never you. No affiliate links, no sponsors, nothing for sale, just the math. Let's rethink what's normal. How many of the 5 were about you? And what did your sum come out at? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Wednesday.